Welcome to Campfire Curmudgeon. I'm your host, Heidi Schilling, and with me are your hosts.
Nicholas Jones.
Justin
And
Wade.
hi, Justin.
Hello.
And this is our first ever social distance version of our podcast, so we can't actually see each other. Lots of talking over each other is going to happen. It already does, but here it is. Get ready for it, people.
Yeah, lots
It's
of
going to
overlap.
happen.
If you don't know what a podcast is, you've downloaded it and you're now listening to it.
You're listening to one.
It's on demand kind of radio. So we're
I'm
going
not sure
to.
why you're telling them what a podcast is. Pretty
Oh,
sure
I'm
they
just
know.
condescending to the listener.
As they like. That's how we like to start it off. Well, I'm gonna take it in a different direction and make everybody sad for just a little bit.
Okay.
Before we start our episode, I have to bring everybody some sad news. You guys already know, and I'm sure most of our listeners know. But all of our research tonight, it was done by Christopher R. Smith, who would have been tonight's guest. He was actually going to be the one to present, kind of take my role of being the presenter. He was going to get to do that. But unfortunately, Chris has recently passed away. So he will not be joining us, but all of the research is still his. So I'm still going to go ahead and present everything that he researched for us. Chris has a lot of credits to his name, including, he's the producer and the owner of the Pop Go Podcast Network. And he was a guest on this show many times. He was also a guest on my podcast, my other podcast, Shilling for Your Thoughts. I worked with Chris as a guest on a few of his podcasts, some of which were you were a co-host with him, Nick. He was really passionate about podcasting, and I always enjoyed working with him. Nick, you can talk about some of the podcasts that he hosted with you and run down a few of his other creative accomplishments if you want.
Yeah, I was close to Chris, and we had met in 2015. We met at a comedy show in Tucson. We both went to the taping of the Eugene Merman show that he filmed in Old Town Tucson, which is like a film set for westerns. And they went. Chris had gone to the early show, and I went to the late show. And then once we were back in Phoenix, we started, communicating through chatting through the web, and we realized we lived like a block from each other, like in Phoenix, Phoenix has a huge landmass. It's spread out everywhere. So we just figured like, oh well, they probably live in West Valley. I probably live in East Valley, but no, we lived right next to each other, and we only so. Basically, because we're both film geeks and we kind of met through comedy and podcasting, we started a movie podcast called the John Carpenter Cast, and we went through the films of John Carpenter, and I basically kind of sat as the co-host and let him drive. He was always the primary mover of the podcast. We would record when he wanted to record. We would all make suggestions as to what we wanted to cover, what we wanted to do, but ultimately he was kind of the creative force behind it. And I think that kind of goes unacknowledged until now. And then we renewed the show. Instead of having to try to rebrand the name of the show every time we chose a different topic or director, we just chose to call it Auteur Theory. It was a little bit self-serious because we could definitely be, mid-30s film nerds that we can definitely come off as pretentious talking about movies. But at the same time, we had a lot of fun doing it. We had a lot of guests on. A lot of them were associates of Chris or friends or people he'd worked with in the industry. He had, like, for somebody who self-isolates a lot, and that was before the quarantine, he had a lot of people that he reached out to and he impacted creatively, and I just got to see a lot of that by who he brought into like my house when we would record. He knew like stunt professionals that we had on like a movie that had to do with like car racing. Just did like so many in the acting and artist community here in Phoenix. He has a lot of screenwriting credits for movies that have been made here in Phoenix. I think most notably is The Covenant, which is actually, I think it's available on Amazon Prime. But he wrote and directed, I believe, 3 movies. One of them has been not been released, but the one that I've seen of his is called Biology 101, and it's kind of a like thirst trap online noir movie that takes place at a community college, or at, like, basically a school, with a teacher who gets too far down the rabbit hole of like online dating and online, like, the underworld. And it's available on iTunes. uh like, I remember watching it the first time, and I picked it apart because, as like, I made a movie in college, but what he did with what the was available was actually pretty impressive. Watched it again, and I had a lot more appreciation for, like, yeah, I wouldn't know how to pull all this together. And even though he said, like, it wasn't the final product, he's not proud of it, and he definitely was the self-deprecating type. He actually was proud of it, and I think that he never passed up an opportunity to do something creative or make it fun. Um, if you want to check out a short film that he made with some local artists and industries, there's a short film called Gnome Sweet Gnome, which is actually on YouTube, and we will go ahead and post that in the show notes.
It's
But
very
yeah,
funny.
he, like, when we would talk, and I think the reason people kept coming back to the show is we had a dynamic where I would kind of be a bit of a dick to him sometimes, and he would just be like, yeah, that's true. I don't like it. I don't like myself. And then it's like, but you do. And he's like, oh yeah, I do. And we'd kind of like, it'd be this back and forth. So if I sound like I'm denigrating him, I don't think anybody used self-deprecation more than he did. And he would probably like begrudgingly agree with that listening to this. We had him on, I think, about 3 times officially, and I think it was about 5 or 6 times unofficially where he chimed in.
Yeah.
One of them was a train wreck of an episode that took place after um, after a company party where one of us drank too much, and that one went down the rails because the other one of us decided, oh well, I'm sober right now, I need to catch up to match the energy. And it was a downhill, it was like a snowball, just turned into an avalanche of madness, and he kind of was along for the ride.
He liked to do that. There was a couple where he was like, he had probably recorded with you, and then you and I went to record,
uh,
and he was like, "Well, I'm already here. I'll just produce this episode. I'll be at the soundboard." And then he just wouldn't be able to help himself. He'd chime in, and then he'd suddenly be like the third host all of a sudden.
Yeah, he'd be. It would be it would be almost funny to tease. Like, you'd be like, "Oh, I don't know anything about this topic. Do you know anything about UFOs?" Or and you just be like,
Just
and
watch his head,
and
like
you'd see him like Roger Rabbit going, like, shaving a haircut, and he just like would be going ape shit, like, silently out of politeness, and you're just like, Chris, you obviously want to chime in here. What's up? And he then would be able to info dump, and then he would be a happy little dude. So and so we miss him. We hope he's in a better place, and we hope that we hope that we want to carry on his legacy and keep the show going.
Definitely.
here's to Chris for all the info. So, with this episode, we're going to be talking about cults. I was actually kind of talking about cults with Chris, and we were both talking about specifically Messianic cults. And Justin, you were like, "What the hell does that mean?"
Yeah, what does that mean?
So
Still have
that's
no idea.
that's well, it's a cult where usually the leader of the cult is kind of seen as a divine being, or they themselves think they're a divine being. A lot of them think like they are Jesus or a version of Jesus, or they have the special ability to be like a prophet and talk directly to God, and they're like the godhead figure of their cult. So we have a few here, and he also added some info on somebody that actually researched them, which is kind of cool. But the first one is the Fountain of the World, which I don't know if I'd ever heard of that before. A lot of these are really awesome, like obscure ones. Like a lot of people know of, the People's Temple, some of the more like well
Or
known
like the
cults.
one right now with Waco trending on
Hmm.
Netflix, the Branch
Yeah, yeah.
Davidian.
The Branch Davidians, or
which he
what was
named it
that
after
apple
himself. That'd be like saying like, "Oh, I'm hey, welcome to my organization. This is the Divine Nicholases."
Well, I heard that he changed his name to match that,
he
not
did,
the other way around, but I don't know.
but then he called his organization. Oh, we're the Branch Davidians. Like, oh, okay.
Yeah, there you go. The
Yeah.
Branch Heidians. That's what you guys are part of now. Welcome
Oh
to my
no.
cult. The Fountain of the World was started by Krishnaventa, whose real name was Francis Herman Petrovic. He was born in San Francisco. He legally changed his name in 1951, and he was also the founder of WKFL, Wisdom, Knowledge, Faith, and Love Cult in the 1940s and 50s, California. That was in the Simi Valley. In April 1948, he stated, "I may as well say it, I am Christ." So right off the bat, here you go.
Oof.
We got a perfect, perfect one right
No
here.
ambiguity there. I mean, even when Jesus was in front of the Pharisees and in front of the Romans, like because he was about to be crucified, they're like, these guys say that you say you're the Son of God, and he goes, "I am what I am," or I am what I say I am," and it's like even that's Jesus being like, "You can, like I'm gonna be
I'm
cryptic
gonna
about this."
die.
This dude's like, "I'm Jesus. I'm Jesus. There is no mincing words. If you think that I'm not saying I'm Jesus, you're wrong. I'm Jesus."
Yep, he just came right out. So, right off the bat, we've got a really great example of exactly what we're talking about here. He claimed to be born on the planet Neophrades or Neophrate. I'm assuming it's Neophrades. And it's supposed to be because
Why?
I said so. I don't know. I'm gonna
Okay.
because I pronounce
Just-
everything wrong.
How about it's
It could
Neophrate?
be. It very well could be, Nicholas.
Okay.
It's supposed to be
Sorry.
the true
Continue.
birthplace of the human race. So, y'all, if you weren't born on Neophrades, I guess you're not people. I don't know. Um, but he claimed that that happened 240,000 years earlier. So, at that time, the planet was abandoned, and people got on rocket ships and came to Earth because they fucked up Neophrades or it was moving too close to the sun. So there you go. So we're all descendants.
What year is this?
Well, this was in like the 40s or the 50s that he was telling people all this. So,
Okay.
right around the time when all that's in vogue. But
Plausible deniability for astronomy out the window. Pluto was discovered in like 1908 by an American amateur
mhm.
astronomer.
Nope.
So it's like this dude in like Simi Valley, which is in like it's northwest of LA, is like, yeah, there's a 10th planet, and I'm from there, and we're all
Well,
gods.
this was 240,000 years earlier and it was moving too close to the
Uh
sun,
huh.
so maybe it exploded. I don't know.
Like Krypton, because
Yeah.
Superman existed
Maybe he
prior
was
to
from the same
1940s.
planet and they just changed it in the comic books so that
Krypton,
nobody would
yeah,
know. He's really from
yeah.
Neophrades.
Okay,
What do you think, Justin?
sorry, go. Did we lose you,
Do I have
Justin?
to have this open for you to be able to hear me?
Yes. Have you been talking?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh man.
He's watching porn or something.
Yeah. What have you been
No,
doing? Are you in another
it said it
tab,
was still like
like on
recording and stuff,
incognito
so I was
mode or
like, okay,
something?
It
cool. So I
was
was
just
just like
not you.
perusing around. Oh man.
Quarantine problems.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad I know that. I would have. I would have
Yeah,
Oh my
good to know.
continued
gosh.
to
Oh,
buy
No, because
son
I
of
glasses
a
wouldn't have been able to
again.
gun.
hear you. I'd
And it
been
would have
like, where
been
the
like
fuck
a
did they
one
go?
woman show.
Yeah, because I've been
Anyway,
commenting and oh shit.
I'm like usually he
God damn
chimes
it.
in
I
with
All right.
some
Run down all the jokes you said.
placed
Go.
jokes at this time, but no, he's
oh,
sitting on it.
no.
He's just
No. All right.
Some of them were good, some of them kind of suck, so I'm happy they weren't heard.
Oh,
Oh, I said I
okay.
preferred Planet X.
What about the Superman
all
premise?
right.
That
All
was
right.
And
We'll give it
then
to you.
anything
nobody
there?
commented about Planet X, and I was like,
Oh
you
my
guys are dicks.
god. He just thinks this whole time we're like, fuck this guy. We're just ignoring
Honestly,
everything you're saying.
I did. You guys weren't responding.
I'm sorry. That's amazing. I'm really glad we
He's
checked
like,
on you.
wow,
I know.
nothing.
I said
Nick
Planet X.
hasn't
I was
heard of
like, Nick
Planet
knows
X.
all
I'm like,
about
yeah, I
that.
have.
Oh my god, I
Doctor
can't imagine
Neutron,
we
are
did
you
the
kidding
whole
me?
thing and you
Yeah,
eventually were just like, fuck these guys.
God, that'd have been the best podcast.
Uh,
Nibiru. each of us has a track. You can hear the whole track, but we
I
can't
can
hear each
hear.
other.
That's
Yeah.
why I was like, wow, I can't
Welcome
hear
to Campfire
Justin anymore.
Curmudgeon, where we
Weird.
don't give a shit about technology
Yeah, I was
problems.
listening to you guys the entire time, and then like my phone had closed out, and I was just sitting there staring at the ceiling for a hot minute.
Well, poop. Use the computer next time.
Well,
Okay.
no, I just turned my screen on to stay on, so we're good.
All right, we're
good. Let's move.
Fuck.
Sure.
Let's move on to Perry
Well,
Mason,
he believed his
Jesus
soul
of
was going to
Simi Valley, like
continuously
Reagan.
reincarnate in order to advise spiritual leaders from different cultures around the world. So, yeah, he thought that he would be able to
Oh, he's
influence
gonna take the bodhisattva
people
vow.
from the Mormon Church, Mayan, Aztec, Hopi. He even thought that Abraham, Moses, Muhammad, Buddha, all of them, the angel Moroni from the Mormon religion, Gabriel, Jesus Christ, all of
Moroni.
Yep. All of them. So he thought that he was going to go ahead and influence all of them, or had already influenced all of them. So
Did he win?
I guess so.
The
Like, I
mouth of
guess he
Sauron.
thinks that anything that
Mhm.
you've heard that was like really awesome from any of those guys, he's like, yeah, I did that. Oh, that part you don't like?
Shit.
Oh shit. Yeah, no, that wasn't me. I didn't tell him that. I'm assuming. I'm filling in the blanks here.
I want to
But-
meet this guy.
I guess this religion had a lot of like Mormon overtones, so I guess that was just something
So no blacks?
I maybe. I mean, what year was this? I don't remember what year they changed this.
If it was
around.
before 72 or 76,
yep.
then yeah, definitely no blacks.
So guess that was
the
yeah.
40s?
There you go. He founded the Fountain of the World in 1949, and this group they participated in a lot of humanitarian and disaster relief efforts. So well, people were like, okay, cool, they're doing a lot of this. And
an
I think that's
asterisk.
part of also why it was easier to get members to be cool with stuff like donating all of their worldly assets, which was required, as most cults seem to do, was a requirement. And
Yeah.
all of the members were required to wear robes. Men had to have beards and long hair.
Nice.
All right, remember this was the 1950s.
Maybe that's why millennials, like, we don't, like, we're in our like 30s and 40s now, and well, I would say 20s and 30s, and we're not big into cults because basically it's like, oh, we want you to donate
Although
all your
I am
assets, and
currently
it's like,
wearing a
well,
robe
okay, here's
because, you
all
know,
my credit card debt. Have fun with
quarantine.
that. Like,
You guys are wearing clothes?
yeah.
I'm wearing clothes, but like I'm also wearing a robe.
I'm just saying, like,
I'm absolutely
just
wearing
saying, yeah.
full on a t-shirt
I'm not wearing
and
pants.
leggings,
Yeah.
but bras have not been a thing since this all started. So, woo.
Yeah, I still have to go to work.
I mean, I still have to go to work at my chair right here. I'm staring at
I
it.
still go out into the wilds.
You do, so you still have to wear your bra, right, Justin?
I do. Actually, it's really nice though. The no traffic has been such a plus.
Oh, I bet. Yeah, for you doing a lot of driving around.
Yeah,
Nope.
and then gas has gotten dirt cheap, so it's just been. I mean, yeah, everything else besides that sucks, but
Yep.
silver linings, you know.
Yeah, silver lining is I forgot I had this robe. It's kind of cool. My dad picked it up in South Korea when he was in the military.
We on it. All right, tangent over.
All right. He promoted the idea of a cataclysmic eventual that would lead to a racial war. So eventually, something was going to happen that would lead to a racial war in the West between whites and blacks.
Of course.
No,
hey, guess
he
what?
did not.
Did he?
But
did he
he
call
thought
it
that
the
the blacks were
Boogaloo?
going to be aided by Russian communists. It was the 1950s.
Of course, that was the whole criticism against anti-segregationists, was that, oh, it's a secret communist
Not
plot
to mention, Justin,
make everybody
you really
equal,
hit the nail
and
on the
we don't
head
like
here
that
with the
because we're
whole.
white supremacists.
When I mentioned Mormon, you were like, "Oh, so he didn't like black people." Guess what?
Oh, obviously, yeah.
Guess what? He also thought that the whites were going to rise up and they were going to conquer the blacks and the Russians, and there was going to be then a utopian society. I know, right? We're
We're gonna rise up
Gotta
after
get
we
what's
already own
ours
like
that we
80
own.
to 90% of everything.
Not
Like,
sure about that. Chris actually he noted here that he thought that this whole kind of idea reminded him of Charles Manson. Wow. Yep. I can't say words with S's. Charles Manson, pre-Charles Manson. I don't know what it is about words that have like an. Yeah, I can't pronounce it. I don't know if I've
mansion.
always done
Yeah.
that or if it's a tongue ring thing.
Have you heard of
But I
halter
did it the other fucking
skelter?
day too. I was talking to somebody. They're like, "What word are you saying?" And I was like, "Put an N in there. Add an N." I think it was at work, which is even worse. I was on a stupid Zoom meeting, and I was like, there's a missing N. Just add it in for me." Tangent again. Tangent.
Yeah. I always had trouble with quarter.
I
I
can't
know.
Like the
say
quarter part
a certain
always got me
state.
a little messed up. I
What
don't know.
state?
Quarter. If you say it enough, you're like
No, that's where Boston is.
Nevada,
Yeah, I fuck it up constantly.
Yeah, that one's kind of hard. I'll give that to you.
Massachusetts.
It's kind of tricky. No, I don't know though. I don't know why I can't do
Okay.
it. Manson. I have to say it like that. Charles Manson. I have to
Anyway,
like
the
fall
Manson
back into
family,
the.
obviously, yeah.
Manson.
Yup, I'm a catch.
You're married, right? Like,
Sitting here in my robe with my purple eyebrows. It's
okay.
better than how I spent most of my day with the face mask on that I just left
Braless.
on all day because I was fucking busy. You're welcome.
Okay. Quarantine.
You know what?
The people listening to this in the
Shut
future
up.
might
I'm gonna
not be in
cut.
quarantine.
But
They might
did
be like,
they?
okay, get to the point. I
Or did
wanted to
they
hear about
come
the
for
race big
this?
thing.
Maybe
What?
they came for this. Some people
Okay.
do.
Yeah, they came for this.
No. What? They came for this.
Nonsense.
This show's like 40% nonsense.
That's, I think, both y'all's contribution and a little bit of mine too. So I
figure
don't know if
that's
that
my
makes it
contribution.
40% nonsense, or if we're more like on the 70% nonsense. I mean, honestly, this is probably going to be one of the most like well-researched episodes because I didn't do the research. Here's the crazy part. This guy who went by Krishnaventa again, Francis, went by Krishnaventa, I just have to throw that out. He was killed in a suicide bombing in Chatsworth,
Oh, shit.
California in 1958. So he didn't really live very long after starting all of this, the Fountain of the World. I mean, I guess kind of. About like what, 10 years? He started Fountain of the World in 1949 and he was killed in 1958. So that's all the time he had there. He was killed by two of his own followers. So somebody
Hell
named
yeah.
Peter Duma Kamenov and Ralph Mueller. They thought
Komonov.
Kamenov.
This bullshit.
Kamenov got really sick of all the anti-Russian propaganda that he was spouting.
Like, I'm sick of the
My
way
name
Pokemon
Why
Komonov,
always
people-
Boris?
not comrade.
They thought that, well, thought, or should I say, like, they figured out
Yeah.
that he was a fraud and he was taking advantage of their wives. So it sounds to me like their wives were like gung ho, all in, like, yes, no, honey, we have to give him everything we own. You don't get it. He said, I may as well say it, I am Christ. He's Christ. And they were like, you know what? Fuck this guy. Fuck this guy. So they actually
Their wives sure will.
yeah, they even recorded audio tapes alluding to their plans with each other. Basically they recorded a podcast.
Do you remember when Jesus was a racist? Like, because no. Like, I remember when Jesus was a racist. I mean, it took a while to figure it out, but he's like, okay, guys, here's a story about like a Samaritan. You know how much the Samaritans like suck, right? Like, they're the worst. Those fucking Samaritans. So here's the dude.
I like that you're assuming everybody is going to know which like Bible thingy you're
I'm going to
referencing.
because that's how it's done. And we're talking about Christian cults. And Samaritans are pieces of shit. But there was this dude who got robbed by highwaymen, and a priest came by and saw that the dude was beat up on the side of the road, and he's like, well, I'll say a prayer for you. Okay. And then like a businessman came by and saw the Samaritan beat him up, and so he like flicked him a quarter. But then one of these Samaritans, these pieces of shit, came by and they saw the dude, and he's like, oh, dude, that sucks. So then he picked him up and walked him to the hotel and paid for a hotel and got him all better. So even though like Samaritans are bad, this guy did like the good thing. So you guys should be like the good Samaritan. That's Jesus's racism.
Gotcha. I think I followed that. How about you, Justin?
What?
Yeah. So anyways, they made some audio tapes, killed him in a suicide bombing, and
Did they-
then the
did they
fountain.
record it?
Kamenov?
Yeah, Kamenov.
Oh my God.
They recorded
How
the
did they have the
the German?
recordings?
No. They recorded like their plans. Like they were like, "Yo, we're gonna blow him up."
Yeah, Mueller
we're
was
gonna
an
blow
East
him up.
German with sympathies to the East.
Oh, man. I can't do a
I don't
German
know if
accent.
any of that's true. I can't either. I'm not even
I'm
gonna try.
presupposing.
I'll make so many people angry. You're presupposing? I think they were just like, "Fuck this guy. He's
Well,
taking
he's a
advantage of our
right-wing
wives."
anti-communist, so yeah.
I mean, there you go. And the Fountain of the World was taken over then by two followers, Sister Thedra and Sister Wally in Mount Shasta,
Hi, I'm Sister
California.
Wally. Welcome to Fountains of Youth, or Wayne, or Youth.
I think it was more like, "Welcome to
Fountain
Fountain
of the
of the
World.
World. I am Sister Walla, and this is Sister Thedra. Now please disrobe and put on this robe, and give us all your things."
And we shall let
I think
you
it's more
on the
like
roller
that. I'm just
coaster.
guessing though. I don't know if they had a roller coaster. I
It was
didn't find
Sister
that.
Wally.
Had a
There's no
roller
way they
coaster.
didn't have some type of amusement ride. I'm sorry. Simi Valley to
Oh,
where?
man.
Where did they move?
Mount Shasta.
Magic Mountain?
Yeah, well, the bombing took place in Chatsworth, California, so I have a feeling that they kind of moved around a lot. It's just my guess.
Like religions do.
You know, just my guess. Yeah, and then they were when the two sisters took it over, they were in Mount Shasta, California. And at that time, membership kind of just started trickling, and by the 70s, the cult had pretty much just died out, and it's not a thing anymore.
Because
So,
hippie culture
I don't know,
worn
guys.
out
Maybe
its
we should.
welcome with the mansions and
Yup. All those
Yeah.
Charles's mansions.
Didn't the guy get married while in jail?
I think I
yeah.
think he did.
Women be shopping.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't get it, but they were.
Well, then those two brothers that like murdered their parents.
The Menendez,
one dude
yeah.
got married, divorced, and then got
Yeah.
married again.
Yep. Some people, there's like, I'm sure there's a whole psychology behind that of women that want to be married to somebody that, you know, is behind bars that they don't ever actually have to interact with. I don't know.
Oh, it's because you gotta fix them.
Either
I
that or
don't
you get the
know.
notoriety or at least the attention. I don't know.
Maybe
Without
that's
without
it, 'cause
without
you
the
sure as hell
affection,
can't
you
fake
know, like
them.
yeah, he
Yeah,
kind of
try to fix
murdered his
people.
family, but no one knows him like I do. Like
He told me he didn't do it, and I believe him.
Wait a second. This is weird. I'm just gonna say this. Were you, Justin? Are you typing in like a
yes, he
chat?
is. All right, forget that.
Yeah, I was. Yeah.
There's I
Oh
know.
my gosh! I thought it was
No.
actually like
You're gonna
typing
have to edit
everything that
this
you had
out,
said.
like
Why? Why?
because
There's
no
a
one
cool
cares about
chat
the
with.
interface for Zencaster.
You know what? Hey guys, we're using Zencaster now. They're not giving us any money. In fact, eventually they're probably going to charge us money, but here's a
Yeah,
little
that's
shout
pretty
out.
dope.
And actually, you know what? Actually, I'm going to shout them out because right now, with all the bananas going on, they are free. They're giving no time limity, so I don't have to pay more money. Hashtag we also have a
Yeah, Patreon.
Patreon. So, woo! Anyways.
What is the Patreon?
It's
What do you
Campfire
mean?
Curmudgeon. Yeah.
Campfire Curmudgeon.
Yeah.
God, that's such a
Just
hard
just
word
search
to
for
spell.
well, I'm Campfire.
Curmudgeon. You spell it like that.
Well, I know, but I'm just as far like people are retarded.
Let's not use that word.
Well, I'm just.
Oh, okay.
I know.
All right.
I
Whenever
understand. I was
type
born in
I definitely
1982. It's
go
like one of those things where you're like, "That's gay," and you're like,
curmudgeon.
"Yeah, you have to train yourself not to talk like that." Like, when they're like, "No, you don't understand. I'm talking about like gay means stupid," and you're like, "Yeah, it still doesn't work." Yeah, no.
Thank you. Thanks for that. Next, we are going to talk about the Lord of Righteousness Church. Here's another one that I have not heard of. It took place, or I guess, I don't know, it was located in New Mexico. It was also called Strong City, and I haven't heard of either Strong City or the Lord of Righteousness Church. Have you heard of those?
No, I have not.
No, not at all.
No, it's super weird. These are like some really awesome, like, under the radar cults. This one was founded by Wayne Bent in 1941. So he was a former Seventh-day Adventist pastor. I don't know a lot about them. I don't know if either of you do. I didn't look it up. It's fine.
Isn't that like a Korean religion?
I don't know.
What?
Is it?
I don't know. I've seen some like Seventh-day churches that had like Korean words on it.
You know anything about the Seventh-day Adventists?
Yeah, Ben Carson is one. They're basically
Okay, cool.
They're like an apocalyptic flavor of Christian that basically are like they're
Oh,
doomsday
gotcha.
cultists.
Are they kind of like
Yeah.
fire and brimstone, like you get shouted at by
Yeah.
the pastor or
Mhm.
whoever? I think they're called a pastor in here. Yep. Because it says he was a pastor who broke from the church. So he told everybody that God had visited him in his living room and told him, quote, "You are Messiah." So then he started telling people, "I am the embodiment of God and humanity
Uh-huh.
combined." So he was Jesus and people. There you go.
How though?
He was Jesus people. Jeeple.
Cheapo.
Peaches.
Open up the doors and there are all the
What did
people.
you
All the
suggest?
people.
Peaches?
I don't know why that one's funnier. I am Peaches.
No, I like
Oh,
Jeeple.
Jeeple. Jeeple rolls off the
Well,
tongue better. Bow
Jeeple
down to
also reminds me of like people that can turn into Jeeps.
Jeeple. Jeep people. I'm a Jeeple. That's gonna
We
be their
prefer the word Jeeple. Jeep people's a slur in our world.
that's gonna be their new commercial. We're gonna have to pitch this to them. Just people standing outside going, "I'm a Jeeple." Driving through the mud.
Uh-huh.
I'm a Jeeple. We are
I
Jeeple.
mean,
This is Jeeple Nation. You're welcome. You
every
have to pay
commercial
me
is
for that
eventually
too.
going to be a Tim and Eric sketch.
If they use that, do we get money? I'm gonna say it
Um,
right now. Copyrighted.
well, yep. Now they have to give you money because you said those words.
Awesome.
Mhm.
Oh, it's been a long quarantine. Um, the group has a website that has been frequently removed, reinstated, edited, flip-flopped, all that jazz. A British journalist, Alex Hannaford, visited the group and he wrote in the press that they were a suicidal doomsday cult. There's
Suicidal?
yes, like
How would you?
like
Oh, they're just going to all kill
yeah,
themselves
yep,
when the
yep,
apocalypse shows up? Got it. Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like what was the name of the one, the Applewhite group, where they all castrated themselves and they thought they were gonna go up?
What the fuck?
The Hail Bob comment group, and then
Oh, I've heard of that one,
yeah,
yeah.
they all, and then I mean that one probably you could call it a suicide group. Some of the other ones are more like a mass murder group. Don't drink the Flavor Aid. Anyways, a documentary aired in
Thank you for getting it
of
right.
course I Flavor Aid. Everyone knows that. A
Mhm.
documentary aired in the UK called The End of the World Cult, and it was about this particular cult, the Lord of the Righteousness Church, that aired in 2007. So you can check that out. I don't know if that is if it's on Netflix or what, but you can find it on documentaryheaven.com. So check it out. Um, mhm. Yep,
Documentaryheaven.com?
that is the link
Hmm.
here. In 2007, that's when that aired. So there you go. In Australia and in the US, you could watch it on the National Geographic channel. So this was something that Chris actually remembers. He watched a documentary on it when it was on Nat Geographic. So that's how he had heard
Mhm.
of this cult. But he found it on Documentary Heaven. You can pop in there and watch it. So probably not on Netflix or anything. In it, Wayne Bent claimed that the apocalypse would happen on October 31st, 2017. Aw, you fucked up. He was citing numerology that was related to Martin Luther.
The 95
Yep,
thesis. He didn't write almost 2,000 problems with the church. He was like, 1! And then he got to 95 and he nailed it
I
to a
like that
church
he didn't
door.
continue. Like when you're at 95, you just go to 100. There's
Yeah, I
100
know.
things. So close. Okay, it was written in
You're so
1517.
close.
Yep, by the original first Martin Luther. It,
The first
yep,
Martin
it
Luther,
didn't.
not Martin Luther Jr.
Thank you. And the group claimed that the documentary was exploitive and inaccurate. So,
Exploitative.
yep, that's what I said.
Yep. Okay, sorry. This has been Nick's
I
pedantic
didn't
corner.
say that. I'm just being an asshole. I'm reading what the group said. They said this
I
documentary
know.
was exploitive and inaccurate. Um,
Okay,
yep,
sick.
Bent was accused of sexually abusing underage girls in the congregation. And an investigation that included witness
Nice.
testimony never found hard evidence, but
Red
there
flag.
was so there was no hard evidence of it, but
I'll give you
they
some
aired
hard
it in the
evidence.
documentary called The End of the World Cult, and that was another thing that the congregation was like really pissed off about. That whole case ended up being just like tied up in legal issues for years and years. So further investigations, they had allegations that like more allegations of the sexual assault that must have had more evidence because it actually led to his arrest, and that was in 2008. So I would assume that maybe this documentary kind of made it actually a little bit more difficult. Sorry, my computer. I didn't know if it would stop. Oh god. It went to
Okay.
sleep and it just didn't do that, but it did. Anyways,
Oh
I
no!
think we're fine.
Did we
No,
lose
I
the
think we're
show?
fine.
No, we're good.
I don't know why I'm moving my mouse. What do I have to do? Cheapers. Anyways,
Go to our Patreon and support the high level professionalism of this
I'm
show.
by myself.
I know.
Well,
Yeah,
support the
there you
Patreon so it
go.
can
Pay
actually
us to
be high
have
level.
somebody to
We'll
actually tell
pay
me
people to do it
what
for
all
us.
the fucking knobs on my soundboard do.
Dubers are.
Hey, Sarah.
Yeah. Oh, you didn't use
Hey,
Duber.
Sarah.
Like, hey.
Tell me how to do this. You
And if you
can.
subscribe,
Yep.
you can hear me say crass and rude things.
We're
Also, we
not going to
might
put
talk
that in
I'm
the
not
secret
putting
chat.
about what's
that
in the
in the
secret chat that they can't
Secret
see.
chat is not going Patreon, but
Secret chat is saying
nope.
secret.
But there'll be some more fun things, like maybe some of the episodes that we never posted because they were trash. Maybe we'll get some fun excerpts from there. I don't know.
Yeah.
We're gonna try to put some stuff up to make it worth your while to throw some money. Or if you're like, man, these guys fucking suck. You know what? If you become a Patreon subscriber, maybe we'll suck less.
We
I'm not promising you that.
Yeah.
That is not something you get as a perk, but it's a possibility. So yeah, Patreon.
All right.
Anyways, so he was eventually arrested in 2008. He was charged with 3 counts of sexual criminal abuse with a minor. He was convicted in December of the same year of all of that, and then during his incarceration, he went on a hunger strike because of course he did. And the website,
I don't mind stealing bread from the mouths of decadence.
yeah, I'm sure he's saying that.
Sorry,
He
go
was
ahead.
like, there you go, guys. And then the website that we had previously mentioned of this group, on the website, they said it is a religious fast that he is doing to protest that he was convicted because his conviction was because of a lie. That's what they stated.
Okay.
So he was paroled in February 2016 because of course, and he returned to Strong City, which was kind of what they were calling it by then. They had dropped the
Strong City sounds like a comic book location. Like Commissioner Metropolis is being held hostage by the Strong City bad guy.
Well, I mean, it's like less
just
of a
so
mouthful than,
stupid.
hey, you want to come to me to church on Sunday? Sure, where do you go to church? I go to church at the Lord of the Righteousness Church. Or they could be like, Strong City Church. So I don't know. See? It like pulls you in.
I want to go to Strong
I go to
City
Strong
Church.
City. Come on, join me. More fun.
But I'm meek. Can I come? No.
No, fuck that guy.
Go lift.
I just shouted on the mic. All of us did. I'm gonna have to fix that. It doesn't matter.
You really don't like the meek.
Fuck the meek. I'm just
the
kidding.
meek.
You guys are pretty cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah,
We're
but
that's
fine.
who did they blow to get on that inheritance list?
What does that even mean?
What do you mean?
That they're gonna inherit the earth?
It means exactly what it says it means. That
Explain.
means the meek cowards will get the kingdom of God and the earth and stuff. And
is it like
whenever?
Okay.
It's kind of an unfulfilled promise for 20,000
Gotcha. So it's not like an anecdote. Like if you're meek, you'll eventually succeed in life.
No, it's not. It's not a proverb. It's more of it's one of Jesus' sermons on the mount where he's the meek will inherit the earth.
Okay, well, we don't know what that means. Anyways.
The last shall be first, and the first shall be last. But that's communism,
So eventually they'll be communists. Gotcha.
No.
No.
The meek are too cowardly to be communists. Communists are cutthroat bastards.
Okie dokie. Artichokey.
Anyway,
once he returned to Strong City, he was diagnosed with cancer, and he has since written a book about all of his legal troubles, and he calls it The Little Book.
How many pages are in this book?
It's little, so I guess not very many. Of all the things to title it, like I was accused of sex crimes against minors. I'll call it the Little Book.
Can we cut
Okay,
that out
pal.
and isolate it?
Why?
It just sounds funny.
Oh my god, no. You made me shout. You guys
That's
are
on record
absolutely the
now.
worst. The worst.
Yeah, that's why you co-host with us.
Maybe it's just,
Lack of options? Nobody likes me.
no one
I'm
likes
pretty
me.
meek.
Give to our Patreon. We're
At
poor.
least I'm gonna inherit the
Help us.
world.
Cool. I get the earth.
Give me the
All
earth.
right, this
I'm
one-
meek.
Wow, we can hear your
Wheezy laugh. Yeah.
something rattling.
Yeah.
Something is rattling.
Stay home, kids.
Oh,
Don't get
God.
COVID.
All right, next one is the Ministerio, Crescendo, and Gracia. Yay, butchered that. That is growing in Christ. Ministerio, Crescendo, and Gracia. Fucked it up. Jose Luis de Jesus.
So they're Asian,
Definitely.
right?
Yep. Their fearless leader, Jose Luis de Jesus, was born in Puerto Rico. He built his cult out of Miami, Florida. He claimed at different times to be both Christ and the Antichrist. So it seemed like he had a little bit of a confusion here. He was just trying to find himself. He didn't really know who he was. So he played around with both. He was like, I'm God. I'm anti-God. I don't know.
I'm Dale Cooper and I'm evil
There you
Dale
go.
Cooper.
Or, for you other nerds, he was Spock and evil Spock.
Bender and Flexo.
There you go. I mean, we can do this all day
shit.
long. But we're not going to.
Doppelganger.
We're not gonna. You know why? I want to tell you some more
Why?
stuff. He had a rough
Listeners
early
don't
life.
like it.
And, yep, he did. It was rough. And he did a stint in prison
It was
for theft.
rough.
He had an addiction to heroin. And he eventually found God and he joined the Baptist church, just the plain old, regular old Baptist church. He became a minister in 1973, but then he claimed that he was visited by a pair of angels who told him that he was the reincarnated spirit of Jesus Christ. He was like, of course I am. So he continued preaching to his growing Spanish language congregation.
Nice.
I'm not going to say it again. We're going to call it Growing in Christ because I can't pronounce things. I can barely speak English. We're going to leave it there. You want to chat?
No.
Yeah, no.
Type in the chat.
You shouldn't be chatting.
Why? You shouldn't be chatting. Can you stop that right now? You shouldn't be doing that. I'm going to send it. Go ahead, Justin. Say words.
Oh, I took 3 years of Spanish.
Menesendo, Crescendo, Gracia.
That's very good.
There you go.
Yeah. Ministerio, Crescendo, and Gracia.
Ministerio, Crescendo,
See, I
and
thought that was
Gracia.
bad, so Justin nailed it. Nick, you tried.
Yeah. Oh, that hurts my ego.
You're welcome.
My fragile
Eagle
ego.
just
Lo
shattering
siento,
it.
mi amigo.
Thank you, Justin. Anyway.
Tu corazón.
Stop. He continued preaching to this congregation, but at this time he was telling them all that he was the reincarnation of Paul the Apostle. He's like, yo, guys, I am Paul the Apostle. His followers celebrated Christmas on April 22nd because that's what he believed to be the real date of the birthday boy.
Oh, we just missed it.
Yep, we missed it. Happy birthday to Jose's Jewish. Wow. Yep.
Paul de
Yeah.
Jesus?
No, it's
he went by
Jose Luis
Jesus.
de Jesus. It's lots of stuff.
Yeah.
Happy birthday to his
So
Jesus.
he's from Jesus. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
De Jesus.
In 2005, he claimed then that he was Jesus. So at first he's like, yo, I'm Paul. Then he was like, just kidding, you guys. It's been a while. I'm bored of that. I'm actually Jesus Christ.
Me llamo Paulo. No, Jesus.
Just like
Jesus.
that. Actual.
Es verdad. Yeah.
There you go.
Perdóname.
So 2005 was when he's like, guys, I'm Jesus. In 2006, he was like, fuck that. I'm the Antichrist.
¿Dónde está el baño?
No, he didn't say
2
that.
cervezas, por favor.
He said, soy Antichrist.
Anticristo, and they bring you a bunch of
You're
like
welcome.
prosciutto and cheeses.
Oh,
Like,
Somebody who speaks Spanish, you just have, if you're listening, any of you, you absolutely can just send me hate mail. It's fine at campfirecurmudgeon@gmail.com. I'm kidding.
uh-huh.
Please don't say nice things. Teach me. 2005.
Well, if you okay, so you just asked me to teach you. When
No,
you say that
no,
what your name is
no,
in Spanish,
no,
you have to say
no,
like llamo, like I
no,
am called. That's how to say it
no.
instead of saying
You know
like
what I
I
do
am.
remember? Cállate tu boca. La boca?
Shut
Shut
up
up your
your
face.
what?
Shut the fuck up.
Okay.
Shut
You know
up your
what?
mouth.
Shut up. Fuck.
Cállate la boca, pinche
There you go.
mentira.
Yep.
Siéntate.
Sure. All of the above.
Sit down.
All of the above.
Escuchen.
All of the
Listen,
above.
okay, you got it.
In 2006, so after 2005, he's like, yo, I'm Jesus. 2006, he's like, just kidding. I'm actually the Antichrist. Kind of a 180, sounds like.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit. But he actually had a little bit. So here was his interpretation. He said, the Antichrist, he's saying, I reject the Jewish teachings of the original Jesus. So therefore, he's the Antichrist. Yeah.
Okay.
So, and it's
Uh-huh.
even weirder because he's claiming that they're the Jewish teachings of the original Jesus
Of the Messiah to come.
when he
Yeah.
lived in the flesh. And I thought that, I don't know, but I thought that the whole like second half of the Bible wasn't a Jewish thing. The New Testament, isn't that all the Jesus stuff? So I don't know. It
Yes,
sounds
it
like he's
is.
combining some stuff
right.
here.
Yeah, probably a rabbi or two that would disagree with him.
Yeah, he's like, I'm the Antichrist because I don't believe in the Jewish teachings of Jesus. I'm confused.
But here's the thing: rabbis probably don't join Messianic cults.
Probably not.
Like,
I don't know. I don't think so.
We'll never know.
And some of his more devout followers, they tattooed 666 on their bodies because he's like, I'm the Antichrist, guys. It's like,
uh,
it's a good thing though. It's not a bad thing. People call it a bad thing. It's not. There was even an instance, because this was just 2006 that he was claiming this. So there was actually a viral video on YouTube of a
imagine
mother.
going to church and then be like, the priest is like, yeah, this is the temple of Satan now. I've just given up and I'm flipping the other way.
No, but he still like framed it in like
and then people are like, oh, okay, and they're
what
just
they
like,
truly
they just
wanted.
they just follow along.
I mean, he
They're
framed it in a way, but there was actually a viral video on YouTube of a mother having her 3-year-old son tattooed with 666.
Abused.
Oh,
Mhm.
nice.
The video seems to have been pulled, but I mean, if I can find it, I'll put the link up with like viewer discretion advised. But there actually was a video of this, and his congregation just kept growing and growing in the US, but mostly Latin America. It was far more popular. And by 2007, he claimed that he had followers in 35 nations. He had 287 radio programs and a 24-hour TV network. He told everyone he had over 2 million followers. I don't know. That's what he claimed. He has his very extravagant lifestyle. Of course, they all have an extravagant lifestyle, right? Like, yo, just donate a whole bunch. It's all going to the church. It's all going to help. What? How much do my shoes cost? Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. But this,
I need all that
I
money.
need it. This lifestyle led to a divorce from his wife in 2007.
Oh, mi esposa.
He had a whole bunch of infidelities. He racked up a gambling debt of $46,000 at the Hard Rock Casino.
You realize I just said my wife in Spanish.
No,
Anyway,
I didn't realize that because clearly
Handcuffed. You said
the part of my
handcuffed.
brain that housed the Spanish language is the damaged part, apparently.
Okay.
Oh, I talked to your husband. I know
What
what
did
he
he
said.
say?
Grandpa called them little pendejos.
That's the word,
which means
pendejos.
little
Yes.
shitheads.
Yes.
Thank you. Closure would have been hard on this one.
Yep,
Yeah.
I was just gonna cut it
Yeah.
out, but we'll say it. We'll say it. Where was I?
He
Oh,
got
here we go.
divorced. He was living
Yep.
a lavish
He had-
lifestyle. He was
Shut up.
reputationally infid. He wasn't.
Yeah?
He had no fidelity.
Okay.
He was a
You're
cheater.
so good at just like summing things up. He had racked up a gambling debt of $46,000
Wow.
at the Hard Rock
How do I turn this?
Casino. I'm shouting over you. I'm sorry.
I know. It's
Oh,
mean.
It's mean. Justin, was I mean?
No,
Oh, that laugh was horrible. I'm sorry.
I don't think anybody's
It's because
mean.
you're mean.
I want Mexican food
Yes.
now.
Why? Because of the Hard Rock Casino?
No, because I'm
Just being
hungry.
an asshole. Anyways, that was just one of his many financial follies. He was going to continue to have legal troubles with alimony, property ownership, all that jazz for the rest of his life. Devoted followers believed him when he said that true believers would have a transformation day where they would gain the ability to walk through the walls and fire. Okay, so he's telling everybody,
What is that?
I don't know,
IDDQ?
man, transformation
The
day.
God code from Doom.
Doom? Yeah.
I guess that's what they were gonna do.
That was a reach, man. That you're like,
You got it though, so that's all that matters.
I know.
Hey, one person that listens might be like, hey, that's the kind of deep reference I'm looking for in a podcast.
I
Yeah.
sure hope so. I sure hope so.
Subscribe to our Patreon for $5.99 a month.
Like
And Nick can afford the new Doom game.
Help us buy new equipment. Thank you. I have a giant
Oh, okay.
soundboard with one microphone currently.
It's not giant.
Soundboards
sometimes take up the space
I'm gonna
of
buy
like
a
a
giant
studio.
one just because you said that. I'm just kidding. I'm not gonna do
Okay.
that.
Well, that's gonna be thousands and thousands of
I saw
dollars.
one.
That'd be a
I
really
actually
nice
saw a
soundboard.
really big one that was really cheap on OfferUp, and I almost bought it because it was nicer than this one, but it was like the size of like a kitchen table, so that didn't happen.
Yikes.
You
Anyways,
got a house.
it's already too full. You've seen it. It's full of shit. Anyways, he told them all that this was going to happen
Mierda.
sometime between June and July 2012. What did you say? Murder?
No, I said shit.
All right. Between June and July 2012 was when they were going to be able to walk through walls and fire, and it didn't happen. And
sorry, Kitty Pride, it's not happening. Yeah.
So I kind of wonder how they figured out it didn't happen. Like, did he light a fire and was like, "You guys can walk through this now"? And a bunch of people were like, "Oh God!" He's like, "Oh fuck, just kidding." Slamming into walls. Like, I just see people like running around on fire, people bashing their heads into walls over and over. Like, but you said, I don't know.
It's a good thought.
It's
Anyway, go on. Yeah, move.
Anyways.
Yeah, forward. Let's
It's
get
like,
hung up
do you
and
have
talk
to?
about.
Do you have things to do? He's like, I need to order some Mexican food. Pretty sure everyone's gonna close pretty soon, so you should just like order it now. Just don't start eating it on the podcast. I'll be so mad at you.
No, I know. There's a
I have pasta.
I know it's
I
not
have
really
pasta
Mexican
too.
food, but there's a Taco Bell that's open 24/7.
That's not Mexican food. Anyways,
I know it's not.
he died on August 8th,
I just said
2013. That's what happened. And
did he come back on August?
He didn't.
11th.
He apparently was diagnosed with cirrhosis of the liver. It's still disputed though by his followers. Some of them are like, "No, he's immortal. He's just hiding now. He's, some do believe that he was reincarnated, or I guess into somebody else, or popped into somebody else. I don't know how they thought this worked.
I'm an eternal being, peekaboo,
basically." And you can even find clips of his sermons and an interview in Bill Mayer's 2008 documentary called, I think it was just called Religious. And I think you can find that. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I've seen that.
There's other videos that you can find on YouTube.
Oh, Bill Maher. Is it the religious movie? Religious?
Yup. Religious.
Yeah. Yeah. That movie, I like. I liked it when it came out, but I went back and watched it recently, and it's such a dickhead movie. He's such an asshole.
Well, that was just cited here as a place that you can actually see some of the sermons and stuff.
Right. True.
But I guess there's other videos of his sermons. You can actually find them on YouTube, but a lot of them are in Spanish. But if you're interested in watching how this guy operated, go for it. YouTube it up.
Campfire Curmudgeon, where we tell you to go watch YouTube.
Go watch the cults on the YouTubes. Please don't. Next one, we're going to talk about the mystical order Supreme Ordem Universal de Santisima Trinidad. Wow.
Oh, fuck. Put that in the chat so we can say it right.
Oh, wow. You know what? I'm going to fire you right here and now. Hear that? Click, 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 click.
Yeah, I know. You could totally make
There you go.
The mystical order Suprema Ordem Universal de Santisima Trinidad.
Yep. Yeah. Justin, go for it.
No, he got it.
Oh, fuck you.
No,
you know what though? More commonly known as SOUST, soused.
Soused.
We're gonna call it that.
I want it to be a Q.
It's not a Q though. I have bad sight also, and I did. I have to squint. but it's not.
Make it a Q.
It's not.
Because then it's squished.
Sorry. This one was run by Henri Cristo in 1948, but his real name was Alvaro Theus. He was Brazilian, the son of German Catholics, though. So there you go. He left home at the age of 13.
Well, when was he born?
1948.
By German Catholics
Hmm.
in South America
I
in
don't know.
1948.
Yup. I don't know. Might
All
be
right,
something
anyway,
there. Might be something
continue.
there.
Yeah, we might have covered something like that in a previous episode.
We might have. He left home at the age
By
of
the way,
13.
Hunting
Go for it.
Hitler season 2 now available on Prime.
Ooh,
Go.
season 2.
Yes.
All right. Where was I? He left home at the age of 13, citing a
You didn't
powerful
find him
voice that urged him to pursue greater things. Justin was
Ooh.
not with us at the time of that episode, but we did do an episode that was kind of a little bit of a reach from like where we normally do paranormal spoopy things, but we did an episode on whether or not Hitler was actually killed at the time and place he said he was. My theory was that yes, he was eventually killed, but that the time and place was wrong, and everyone's just gone with it because it's kind of hard to go, oopsie, just kidding, it was actually here, because then people question. If you're just like, yep, it was definitely at this time and place, it's easier to just keep going with it. So find that episode, listen to it. I don't know what it's called. Listen to our shit and you'll figure it out, guys.
Oh my god.
Or you can watch the documentary that Nick just mentioned. What was it called?
Hunting Hitler?
Very good, very interesting documentary.
Yeah, I was prepared to like think it was like all bullshit ancient aliens type stuff, but it actually is hosted by a former CIA agent named Bob Baer, who wrote several books about his work in the Middle East, and he was the inspiration for George Clooney's character in Syriana, which is a good movie.
Yep.
Okay.
It's very interesting.
Mm-hmm. He's not one of those crackpot ex-CIA agents where you're
Hopefully
like,
not.
I'm a CIA agent, and they, like, oh, they have like they control the weather, and they, like you can listen to people's teeth and all that, like, and there's aliens.
You can listen to my teeth. Hear them. That was my teeth.
Yeah.
All right, Goose.
Half our audience.
No, wait, Iceman did that.
Half our audience just cringed, and the other half got a boner.
Ooh, that's true. Yeah, Iceman did that. He clacked his teeth before a kill. I forgot about that.
Yeah,
I clacked my nails. That's gonna be my thing. You know, when I'm an assassin, I'll just like clack my nails.
I was talking about Val Kilmer from Top Gun.
Yeah, she was too.
But he didn't kill anybody, did he?
I thought you were talking about like the real life murderer.
The Iceman, the killer? No, yeah. I'm talking about Val
Richard
Kilmer's
Kuklinski?
perfect role.
Oh, well. Okay. Anyways.
All right, so 13-year-old child of Brazilian Nazis
outside.
Leaves.
Yep, and he did. He quickly renounced Catholicism.
Yeah, he's like, I've got bigger plans.
Yep.
Except in Portuguese.
And he announced himself as an atheist. So this one's a little different than a lot of the other ones. He's starting off like, guess what, guys? I'm an atheist. In 1969, at the age of 21,
did he say this to an empty room?
I guess when he was 13, he stood outside, shook his fist to the sky, and yelled, I am an atheist!
All right.
But then at 21, he was like, just kidding.
Welcome to YouTube, edgelord.
Just kidding. I'm actually a prophet. Just kidding. So then he used his growing popularity as a media figure to make radio appearances where he promoted spiritualism and vegetarianism. Okay, all right. He also gained some fame as a comedic radio host and TV personality. Weird, right?
Uh-huh.
He appeared in numerous talk shows and commercials. And in 1979, after a religious retreat, he suddenly claimed that he could hear the voice of God, who had told him he was the second coming of Christ. So we got another one that's like, oh, I am Christ. He started wearing a white tunic, sandals, and that was when he changed his name to Henri Cristo.
Oh, no.
Yep. He started touring Latin America, preaching.
No suave, Cristo.
Henri, not Enrique, just Henri.
Fine.
Sorry. Then he toured Latin America preaching his version of New Age Christianity, and he was at the center of it because he is Christ. In 1982, in defiance of the mainstream church, which he called a libertarian act, that was what he decided, the real church, or I guess here, obviously, they're using the church, like big capital letters, the Catholic
Mhm.
Church. He broke into a cathedral in Belém, which is in northern Brazil, and he was arrested for vandalism. He spent 15 days in jail. He has been arrested more than 40 times since that happened, and it's usually for a public disturbance because of his preachings. So while he's preaching, he's causing some sort of public disturbance, probably riling people up, all that jazz, as they do. After an arrest in 1982, he founded the mystical order Suprema Ordem Universal de Santísima Trinidad. Soused. The formalization of the promised kingdom of God on earth. So that's what it translates to. The formulation of the promised kingdom of God on earth. Can you just find a short, make it sound better? Whatever. He
Yeah,
set up his
come on,
headquarters.
branding. It's gotta pop. Like, could you imagine a
Branding.
marketing person?
You know, it's got to be something easy to spell, rolls off the tongue, like campfire curmudgeon.
If it doesn't fit on a bumper sticker, you're going nowheres. You hear? Like,
Maybe that's our problem. Yeah, that's it. That's it.
no fast talking like Madison Avenue like pitch is like it's just yeah, no, I'm talking about humanity and saving it and the profundity and then like taking us into another better world. Yeah, but your idea stinks. You hear? You need to brand. You know, like all right.
That's
Anyway.
exactly how it happened. And then he set up in Curitiba, Brazil. He regularly participates in debates with religious figures on a
Justin,
wide
are you
range of
there?
subjects.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
he's here.
Okay.
Including evolution, vegetarianism, overpopulation, birth control, abortion, atheism, socialism, capitalism. His statements often sparking controversy. So he still likes to shout at people.
Some of
And he
those things
likes,
sound like solutions and some of them sound like problems. Like
I
birth control
agree.
is the good thing. Like other things are not.
Other
Like
things are not.
overpopulation
That's a
is
bad
not a
thing.
good thing. Yeah.
He also gives talks at colleges where he is usually well received by the students, so probably a little more liberal leaning. There's lots of videos of him speaking online. None of them are in English, but if you speak Portuguese, you can pop
Portuguese?
on. Yep, there's according to Chris, some kind of cheap Comedy Central style roast of him, which is really weird on
Oh.
YouTube. So he's not in it, but it's like a roast of him. He said it's bizarre and it sounds like it's in Portuguese, so we'll post
Wait,
that
how
link.
do you roast somebody if they're not there? That just sounds like you're being a dick to somebody.
Well, I don't know, maybe they're in it. It's in Portuguese.
Yeah.
We'll post it, and
Oh.
our Portuguese listeners, all of them, can just let us know what it's about.
Alcedro?
Yep, there you go. Yep. Next, we're going to talk about founder of the Kingdom of Jesus Christ, thy name above every name. And this guy was
shit.
Amen. And now we can eat.
Yep. Kingdom of Jesus Christ, thy name above every name. It kind of reminds me of this lady I worked with that used to always say Jesus the Christ, and she would
Yes.
say it really weird and like broken
Yes.
down. Like it
Uh-huh.
wasn't Jesus the Christ, it was Jesus the Christ. And
Or
you were
the
like,
Livonia
"Ugh,
guy
ugh."
on YouTube, where he's just like, anytime he said Jesus' name, he would be like, "And Holy Savior Jesus Christ, like it washed in thy blood," or like he would always like add like Jesus Christ Esquire or some type of litany of his titles after he said Jesus Christ,
Basically.
like oh I'm Robert Baratheon, like Slayer of Kings, like whatever, like the whole title, and then it's like every time you say Jesus, you don't have to do that, right? Like he knows, or he doesn't, and
I'm not gonna lie.
yeah.
My brain thought of what was it? Game of Thrones
Yes.
shit too.
Oh,
when you were
100%.
talking to titles.
100%. Justin,
Mhm.
you want to go ahead and pronounce this founder's name?
All right, hold up.
Don't read the year. I put that in there because I'm an idiot and can't copy paste. Yeah, it's down there under Cunting Schlintler.
Oh shit.
Yeah, he put that in the chat.
Hey, that's a secret.
Uh,
Apollo Carry On. I don't know how to say the
No,
last name.
come on, you
though.
gotta do it. What is it? All right, Nope.
Okay,
Quibbly.
fine. Apollo Carry On. Quiblioi.
you don't do the
Quibbly.
qua, you just do
Quiboloi.
Kiboloi.
Qua. Qui.
Kiboloi.
Qui.
Kiboloi.
Kibolo.
Kiboloi. He wasn't a Boy Scout. He was.
We're just gonna
Weeblo.
call him Apollo. So good
Welcome
old
to-
Apollo.
Welcome to Weeblos.
He was.
It's Apajo.
Yep, we're gonna say Apollo. He was Filipino.
Apajo.
No, he's
Apajo.
Filipino. Is that? I don't think that you're pronouncing
Filipinos,
that right.
yeah.
Apollo, founder of the Kingdom of Jesus Christ, thy name above every name. He was
Mhm.
born in Davao City. He was the youngest of 9 children. His father was a preacher, of course, and
His father was a preacher man.
Yeah,
and
anyway.
4 of the sons, including Apollo, became preachers. So 9 children, 4 preachers. There you go. And they were preachers
Can
for
I
the
have
United.
Thanksgiving at their house?
Why?
Because that sounds like a nightmare.
Oh, I was like, ew, no. Why would you want that? You'd never get to eat. Everyone would have to say grace.
Also, I'd be
The
like,
turkey would be cold.
do you have any
Bring
Mexican
'em.
food in Philippines? The Spanish conquered you
Would they
guys.
just
Like,
call it food?
do you have any like Mexican food?
Anyways,
Yeah.
they were
Taco Bell?
preachers for the United Pentecostal Church of the Philippines, which is UPCP or UPCP, depends.
I like up.
I like it too. He became the president of a prominent UPCP UPCP youth group, but he was expelled from the church in 1979 for unorthodox teachings, which is, not allowed in the United Pentecostal Church, apparently. You gotta be Orthodox. He was accepted back into the church after apologizing. I'm sorry, guys. I'm repentive. But then he was still under investigation. They were like, we'll let you in, but we don't trust you.
Can I join our own Patreon if I never have you make that voice again?
I'm sorry, guys. No, it's fun. I like it.
Make it all the time.
If you want me to make more voices, give to our Patreon. Just kidding, please don't. There's so many voices inside of me and we should not let them come out.
Yeah.
It's dangerous for everyone.
Just Zool.
There's only Zool.
What?
No Heidi, only
Oh.
Zool. You know, if you want to follow me on Instagram, I guess. Don't be creepy or I'll block your ass. He was allowed back in, remained under investigation. He officially left the church in 1985, and he brought 15 people with him to start his own church. Come on, guys, we'll
Who's
start our
coming
own
with
church.
me, man?
He founded the Kingdom of Jesus Christ, thy name above every name. I just have to keep saying it. In 1985, he and his 15 followers started preaching in the slums of Davao City. His congregation grew. Word started spreading that Apollo was the appointed son of God. So I guess, again, he thinks he's Jesus? I don't know. From there, he was starting to build his empire. He opened a cathedral in Davao City, and they started calling themselves Kingdom Nation. I mean, that's a lot smaller than, the kingdom of Jesus Christ, thy name above every name. Kingdom Nation kind of just rolls a little better. He listened to you about the branding. They eventually grew to having 4
You smart kid, we're
million
going places.
followers. Did you hear me? 4 million
4 million
followers.
followers.
Just in the Philippines
That's a
alone.
lot.
And then internationally, they had another 2 million.
I wasn't in the Philippines.
So you're one of the 2 million followers internationally?
Mm-hmm.
6
Oh,
million
man.
followers. The ministry launched a global television network in 2000, the Sunshine Media Network International. They had 17 radio stations and 2 newspapers. They eventually expanded into professional sports with Sunshine Sports Management. Apollo has been heavily involved with politics in the Philippines, including publicly endorsing presidential candidates and encouraging many of his devoted followers to vote for a specific person, in order to influence elections. So he tells everybody who he likes and tries to influence them to vote accordingly. Apollo's political machinations made him an enemy of the Communist New People's Army, the NPA. They even alleged him to be behind the massacre of Datu Domingo Diarog. Oh God, and I can't say the last name. And his family in April of 2008.
Your Tagalog sucks.
It does. I'm so sorry. Over a major property dispute with Apollo. I tried. Datu Domingo Diarog. There you go. We're going to say it like that. That's how it is. He told them that claim is totally false and baseless, if not ridiculous. That's how he responded to like, yo, you're behind this murder. He was like, nah, false, ridiculous, fake news.
Your Honor, now that I might begin my closing argument, nah.
As the lawyer shakes their head. He said nope.
Is getting her money's worth, especially in legal advice.
You're not allowed to say who the Patreon is. We're going to bleep her name out.
Oh,
Several
I'm
more
sorry. That
allegations
was a
of
fuck up.
violence and intimidation Several more
Dr.
allegations
K.
of violence and intimidation were accused against Apollo and the Kingdom of God by the NPA, enough for police to actually open an ongoing investigation. Apollo has dismissed the accusations, and he says that the members of the NPA are Satan's offspring. That's what he says.
A
There
lot of
is
anti-communism
Makes
in
sense.
this, but basically communism is, I don't know if it's inherently atheistic.
I don't know, because there's actually a lot of other cults, like the
Right.
People's Temple, that were very communistic.
Right.
Chris noted that he found a pretty solid ABC News clip that includes an interview and some clips of the sermon in English. So that's kind of cool.
Uh-huh.
We'll go ahead and link that in there too, because why not? So if you guys are super interested in this, cool. And our last person that we're going to talk about is kind of taking a sidestep. This is not a Messianic cult leader, but he is one of the most revered psychologists of the 20th century, Milton. Wow, you know what? I should Google how to say names before. Milton Rokeach? Rockich?
Put it in the. Is it French? It sounds. Can you put it in the
I'm.
chat?
Yep,
Little
yep.
kitsch.
Ooh, I know. How about give to the Patreon so Heidi can learn to say
Little
words?
share.
Rakic. Yeah.
Help me with my brain damage.
Rokeach.
Milton Rokeach. I don't know. I'm gonna say it like that. And
Yeah, not a clue.
I don't know.
What
He's a really
country is he?
smart psychologist.
Really good research.
Yeah, his
Oh, okay.
best. I didn't do the research. I wasn't
Oh
supposed
yeah.
to. I wasn't
Who am
supposed to
I
do this one.
yelling at Chris from beyond the grave? I'm sorry.
Could have research. I'm sure he probably knew how to pronounce the names and could probably
Yeah.
tell you that.
Yeah, he would correct
More
us on
thorough
this.
than I am.
Wish you were here, man.
Yep. He taught at several esteemed universities, and he wrote many well-regarded books and articles on social psychology. He was best known for an experiment he conducted between 1959 and 1961 at the Ypsilanti State Hospital, as detailed in his book, The Three Christs of Ypsilanti. Funny that I can pronounce that, right?
The Three Christs of Ypsilanti.
You would have assumed that I would have fucked that one up. In the experiment, he brought together 3 paranoid schizophrenic patients, Clyde Benson, Joseph Castle, and Leon Gabor, who all believed that they were Jesus Christ. So he took 3 people that think they're Jesus, and they're paranoid schizophrenic is actually what they've been diagnosed with, and he put them together. He believed that
They
all
could like
3
argue each other out of their like messiah complexes.
kind of he believed that if all of them were interacting together and a little bit of help from him, it would lead to lessening their delusion. So he thought that if he was in charge of this, they could all talk each other out of it. He was very much incorrect. The patient's interactions led to several tense situations between them. So, a little scary. He was criticized for the experiment on ethical grounds.
Yeah, like you wouldn't put delusion people together to like reinforce their delusions.
Yeah, people
pretty
said it.
Fucked up.
Yep, they were like, you got people that are actually diagnosed mentally ill. We know what they have, and you instead, you stop treating it the way we know how. You just toss them all together.
You put
and
gasoline on a fire. Yeah.
Yeah, it absolutely didn't help at all. But his response to the criticism was, it did cure me of my godlike delusion that I could manipulate them out of their beliefs.
Oh.
So you got to give it to him for that. He kind of was like, yeah, well, I learned something from it that I'm not as awesome as I thought. But he went on to conduct a lot more esteemed research. He examined the motivations behind racial prejudice, and he wrote a very well-regarded book about this and other things before his death. There was even a film adaptation of The Three Christs of Ypsilanti in 2017.
Yep,
The dark
directed
comedy.
by John Avnet. And the actors who played the 3 different Christs were Peter Dinklage.
Yes.
Walton Goggins from Justified and The Shield, and Bradley Whitford from Billy Madison and The West Wing.
Who else?
And
One more.
Get Out. Well, no, those are the 3 Christs.
And Richard Gere as
Richard Gere playing the Doctor.
There you go. And I only know this because, of course, Chris notated those because he was into film stuff. So he had to shout that out.
Yep.
It was not a success, and it was a mostly forgotten movie, which I think it actually sounds kind of interesting, so maybe I'll watch it.
Yeah, it has a 43% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Oh no, everybody go to Rotten Tomatoes, watch it, and we'll see if
It's not
know.
on Rotten Tomatoes. It has a
No, after you
43%.
watch it, go to Rotten Tomatoes, vote, and we'll
Oh.
see if it goes up or down.
Okay, that's not how Rotten Tomatoes works.
Yes, it is.
No, it doesn't work. Like basically, you could bump
How
the
does it
user
work?
score,
Yeah, that's what I want to see. I want to see if
but Rotten
everybody.
Tomatoes goes off of published critic scores.
But they also have the user score.
There's
What's
two
the
different.
user score?
The user score. I don't know.
Well, that's
Oh.
what I thought you were citing. Boo to you.
The rating on
Anyways.
IMDb, which is based off of user input, is 5.7 out of 10, or
Come on, guys,
5.17 out of 10.
let's go see if we can boost it.
It's
There's also
okay.
That sounds pretty good.
It's pretty middling.
All right, well, you can listen to some newer interviews, but a lot of the older 70s.
The audience score is
interviews.
64%, so audiences liked it more than critics did.
There you go. All right. Well, come on, audience. Take a
Well,
watch
for
of
the
The Three
audience
always
Christ
knows
of
what's
Ypsilanti. Tell us what you think.
Name one movie where the audience was wrong.
I could name a ton, but this is not that podcast. Okay, what? I'd have to actually research this for a few minutes, but I'm not gonna do that right now.
Okay, it was a joke. Oh,
Yo
God.
soy lazy.
You'd want to say estoy, not soy. Yeah, you would say.
See, exactly. I'm getting that wrong.
You would say like yo soy gringo for saying like you are white,
Right.
but to say like you're lazy or like an adjective like that, you'd say estoy.
Because it's more of a feeling.
Yeah.
But what if it's an identity thing? Like I am lazy. Like
Like
Well,
it's your
like-
name. Lazy is your name.
Yeah, you'd be saying
No.
like I am lazy, or like I am of like the lazy people when you're saying like
yeah,
soy.
that's so me. Yes, I'm from the
Hey,
lazy
Spanish
people.
speakers, tell us if any of this is bullshit or if all of it's bullshit.
Hey, I learned a lot of Spanish like a decade
I
ago.
bet you did.
all
I
right?
don't remember anything. That has been our lovely little podcast on Messianic cults. I'm sure, I mean, I know there's a ton more, but what the goal of this one was we were trying to get a couple that were not as well known, a little bit more
Mhm.
obscure. Hopefully you hadn't heard of them, and now you have. So there you go.
All right. Well, thank you, Chris, for doing the research on that.
Thanks, buddy.
I'm sure you can download this and hear it.
He's already riding on those golden waves right now.
Yeah. He's in that great cinema in the sky. We want you to remember him, and like I said, you can find his shows on Auteur Theory by doing a Google search there. It should be the Libsyn link. I'll be continuing that show with past guests in order to finish out the season. And then who knows where we'll go from there. But yeah.
You can also check out on Facebook, if you search for the Papago Podcast Network, you can see a lot of other podcasts that Chris was involved with. Again, he did start and run the Papago Podcast Network, so you can go check out some of the other podcasts there. And as for us, you can find us on Facebook. We've got pretty much all of our info there. If you hate Facebook, Google Campfire Curmudgeon, and there we are. We're there. You'll find us, I promise. We also have a
You want to
Patreon.
email us with your feedback? You can email us at campfirecurmudgeon@gmail.com.
There you go. And like I said, we also have a Patreon. Oh my god, guys, what do you have a Patreon? Do you have
No,
like a bunch
stop.
of
No.
content on it? No, not yet, but we will, I promise. No, stop. Don't tell them about it. You have to. That's how we do it. If you don't want to give us money or you can't give us money, hey, I get it. But
I'm just really bad at self-promotion, you see.
yeah. But you can also share our podcast with all your friends. Tell them, here you go. It's coming for your earballs. You can also just give us some ratings and stuff on iTunes and all that jazz. Tell people, hey, we're kind of cool. You can even, leave 5 stars and then just whatever words you feel like. Like, tell us what you had for dinner, your favorite color. You can say Campfire Curmudgeon sucks, fuck those guys, but just give us 5 stars, okay?
Also, comment on this episode. Heidi says a phrase 3 times. Tell me what phrase that was in the comments, and I'll give you $20.
Is it Beetlejuice?
No.
You can't say that 3 times.
And by $20, I mean 20 virtual dollars.
We'll send you some merch.
Yeah, there we go. We'll send you a hat.
I don't have hats. Don't promise things
We
I
don't have hats.
Anything else, guys? No?
We need to get hats.
No, just
We just get hats.
Anything else? Yeah, table this. Put it on the whiteboard. We need to get
All
hats.
right, I wrote it down. Get hats. All right. Thanks, guys. Remember,
And keep the campfire
burning.
burning.
What did you say?
Burning.
Burgeoning.
I don't know.
The burning campfire.
Keep the campfire burning. Bye.
Burning. Bye.
Hey, campers, thanks for listening. Got any scary stories? Send them to campfirecurmudgeon@gmail.com or message us on Facebook. You can even send a text or leave a voicemail at 480-442-0124.